Hey guys, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for watching. I'm blessed to be here, back on the hammock, and it's such a blessing to be where I am right now and have the health that I have and nutrition, technology, the ability to speak my words and share things with you guys. And I just have to say, if you're watching this, you and I have hit the jackpot. We have hit the jackpot, the evolutionary jackpot. Um, it's like 1 in a million for your sperm to fertilize and become a baby, fertilize the egg and become a baby. And after having accomplished that 1 in a million, you've, at whatever stage in life you are there because you're good at life and you you are very lucky. And so I just have to say congrats. Often and I think others don't realize how blessed we really are. I wanted to talk about politics, kinda. I don't really like talking about politics, but I do at the same time. It's just that I guess it can be annoying, and before I start on politics, just generally, I think as a society, we are often fueled by hate and energized by distancing ourselves from one another, creating a separation, creating a distinction between myself and what I have and the person beside me that I'm opposing, that I'm trying to be better than. Often we enter situations, and we willingly go into situations trying to better ourselves than the next person. And I've talked before about how we're all equally great in our own way. We're all great, but in different ways. And so I think we, for example, in politics and in news and a lot of current matters, we're fueled by hate. I think at times we're fueled by love, but I think that we're fueled more by hate than by love, unfortunately. I mean, you need both, but I think we'd be better off if we were fueled more by love. Now going into politics. This whole Democrat versus Republican shindig. Right now in the world, there's a lot of issues we're facing with the pandemic, with the racial injustice. A lot of us are watching the news all day, watching these negative things, mostly negative. I mean, every once in a while there's a positive thing popping up, but after that 5-minute blessing of positivity, the news will go right back to this idea of fueled hatred and distance and oppression and opposition among one another. among political parties, among race. And when, especially now, there's not much else to do, I notice that the news is on all the time, at least in my house, and it's toxic. And it's also, a good word is static. I think that we have these ideas in our head of ways things should be and ways we want them to be, and we're set in our ways of being Democrat or Republican, for example, and when there's things on the news talking about one side or the other, or uplifting one side or downplaying another, there's opinions that are static. For example, we think one side's better than the other. We think that, for example, Democrats treat racial injustice better than Republicans or something like that. And we carry that exact statement that Democrats are just always better at racial justice than Republicans, and that Republicans can never be better, the opposite can never be. And I think that's a irrational thing to think. I myself would have always sort of aligned with Democratic views, not that I haven't with Republican views, but I've always labeled myself as a Democrat. But I have, especially recently, I've realized that I also agree with a lot of Republican views. I think that there's no static place that I put myself among political parties. I think with each topic, political topic, such as race, such as economic viewpoint, such as medical, or any topic, I am not always Democrat and I'm not always Republican. I think that there is movement among me, not so static, and I think that deep down everybody could benefit from not being so static, not creating such opposition to the other side. And so we're fueled by our enemy, we're fueled by our opposition and getting ahead of that opposition. I've said before, and I still stands, that I think love is the answer to, or at least part of the answer to our purpose, a majority of the answer to our purpose, I could say. And right now, love, peace, and happiness, always, love, peace, and happiness do not equal opposition, resentment, and hatred. Love, peace, and happiness do not equal opposition, resentment, and hatred. And I think in any walk of life, there's always going to be love, peace, happiness, opposition, resentment, and hatred. Now, love, peace, and happiness are the opposite of opposition, resentment, and hatred, but it doesn't mean they can be involved together. And I think that when they're involved together, it brings an increased balance to a situation, to a conversation, to a political view, and to think that one of those traits should be totally there as opposed to another. For example, the idea that opposition should always be there as opposed to happiness in a situation, it doesn't really give the best mindset. It's always important to realize your situation and be present, and sometimes take a step back and reflect and understand that when you give so much hatred or opposition into an argument and you don't give love or, for instance, happiness or another viewpoint that you haven't been rambling on about for the last 10 minutes, then you give a lot more balance and understanding, knowing that there's not going to be hate without love, and there's not going to be peace without opposition, and there's not going to be happiness without resentment. That all these things are meant to come about in anything we do. I mean, you're not always going to be 100% happy all the time. I just saw something on Instagram saying, be so positive that when you're around negative people, they don't want to be with you because you're so positive. And I think, it's a good idea, but to always be positive and not realize that negativity is part of our life, you're just searching for something that's not there. Sure, you want to be positive more than you want to be negative, but you're going to have to be negative at times. It's just about being present with that negativity and letting it be, not needing it to go so far into hatred, and not being resentful of it that you need positivity right at that moment, allowing it to be and allowing to understand that your thoughts can go to negativity, and that's okay, and then you're just human. Anyway, so my thing is, why does there need to be such opposition in politics? I'd consider that Democrats are a lot like Republicans, and Republicans are a lot like Democrats, even in their views. It's just that we see it, and we've always seen it as a big game, a competition. And I saw a commercial the other day of it was a commercial about this upcoming presidential race and how it's going to be it's going to be a crazy one given the circumstances. And the commercial said it revved it up. It was like, yeah, this is going to be a great debate. We're going to show our Democratic and Republican views, and we're going to fight for what's right. Everything's going to be great. But I don't think there needs to be such resentment and opposition and trying to be one side over the other. You can be Democrat and Republican. A good example of this not always needing to be positive, having some negativity, having love and hate always, having love, peace, happiness, opposition, resentment, and hatred. A good example was, I was on TikTok seeing this guy shoot a golf ball, and in the comments it said so that his golf shot could be better, that he was hitting grass before hitting the ball. You want to hit the ball, you want your club to hit the ball before the grass. And they were kind of debating that, but no. what the creator of the video was saying was that he disagreed, that he thought his club hit the ball first and there was no grass being hit beforehand. He didn't chunk it, as he would say. And then he would explain that. He would be like, yeah, I looked at all the videos. I didn't see me chunking it at all. And then he would say, comma, but thank you anyways. Sort of like, I mean, he knows he's giving a tone of some negativity that he totally disagrees with what the guy's saying about his golf shot, and that he needs to clarify, thank you anyways. Like, he needs to bring some positivity. I don't think that's wrong, but I think that happens all the time, where we are trying to be, we're not trying to like be negative, and so we give a negative, slightly negative comment and we finish it off, comma, but thank you anyways, like trying to give positivity. We can be just negative and not be a negative person. You can be positive at a time and not be a positive person. And that's, they kept talking, and after every comment by the creator, it was, there was opposition and friction that you could just tell seeping out of the words he was typing, saying, you know, thank you anyways at the bottom, like, sounds good, like sort of just like, thank you. Doesn't need to be like that. It can be, but I'm just saying, I right now am sort of generalizing that man was trying to give positivity after a negative comment. He was trying to like just brush it off, and it may not have been the case, you know, I don't know, but I'm just saying that as an example. We don't always need to be a society where there's, and individuals where there's always resentment, there's always things coming in that are seen as negative, and thus we need to bring positive. Like, situations can be negative at times and situations can be positive at times, and we don't always need to be a certain way. And I think in him commenting a negative thing, comma, but thanks anyways, into a positive thing, he's trying to be better than that person in a way. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're all humans. We're all brothers and sisters in one way or another. We all come from carbon, from single atom species. We all come from a single atom of carbon. So, I mean, I just love one another. Like, it, and I understand it's gonna continue to happen, but I'm hoping maybe someone sees this and a change happens within themselves, where they see that you don't always need to be a certain way in this society. And don't get me wrong, it's definitely changing, but I think that I see it a lot, and I just wanted to portray that we don't always need to be positive or negative. We don't need to be a certain way. We don't always need to give hate with hate or love with love, you know? You just kind of be present with yourself and allow the people around you that you're in conversation or a situation with to fully understand what you're going through. This might be my longest vid. I think I just wanted to end with an idea that we have enough resources for everyone on the planet. that we have enough food, water, nutrition for health for everyone on the planet. I think we